Hello again. Recording a gameplay video of Vengeance Blood here. So this video was during my run to Masters in AA3, and so this deck was something I was running for almost all of AA3, and I actually felt like it performed really well, like really well, and yeah, I just want to go over the list because it is a bit unique compared to other Vengeance Blood decks. Most Vengeance Blood decks like to run one drops, or at least the ones I see online. They run like Ambling Wraith or Flower Bed. But during some of my games in the beginning, when I was just kind of net decking, I found that like one drops were kind of bad in this deck. Because I think a common conception when you play Blood is that you're kind of like this, like just hyper aggressive deck, right? And so you want to curve out like 1, 2, 3. But this deck's kind of unique because it doesn't really rely on any early game tempo. Like you don't need to be so early game oriented. When I say early game, I mean like turn 1 to 4. Because of just how much more powerful it is to be in Vengeance, like when you play like Belphegor, like that's like when the game begins. It's really interesting because this deck's like an aggro deck, but it's not like an aggro deck in the traditional sense where you go like you play 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, and you like rush them down, right? Because they couldn't like have their like removal lineup with your just really fast early game tempo. This is like an aggro deck that starts on like turn 5. You know what I mean? It's like really interesting. Like you try to you just like maybe like kill a couple creatures with your like early game removal spells and play like Grimnir or just like cheap wards or Urias. Like it doesn't matter if you like fall behind at all in the beginning, because like the second you hit Vengeance on turn 4, like your next like 2 turns is basically like way stronger than anything any other craft can muster in those turns. So yeah, this deck's kind of, it's like really interesting how
Can you really reliably hit Vengeance on 4?
see, I think a really important part about that is like you have to mulligan really aggressively for a Vengeance enabler, which is Belphegor basically. Like you see in the list, I run 1 Soul Dealer because I did find that 3 Belphegors was not enough. Like you did need like that 4th card to like just kind of just give you some consistency, even though like Soul Dealer is way worse than Belphegor. It's like not even close. How it's like Belphegor is like a 10 and Soul Dealer is like a 5, but you still need like to enable turn 5 plays, which is why I run the 1 Soul Dealer, because you never ever want to see 2 Soul Dealers, because it's just like you just don't have the life pool to like cast
Yeah.
2. And yeah, like there are some like one ofs in that deck, right? Like you can see like, yeah, I run the 1 of Soul Dealer, and then I also run 1 of like Blood Pact. This card I think is really good. It's like my favorite turn 2 play, because it's like it does everything I just want tons of resources, right? If you don't draw a Vengeance Enabler right away, you have a Blood Pact. You can like, it just helps you dig for 1. I only run 1 because at the same time it is still a bit of like a liability. Like you only ever want that card once. It's like my philosophy when I come to like deck building. I don't like to like Blood Pact can be a liability at times. Like I've run multiples before, and if you have 2, you rarely ever need 2, and sometimes it's a dead draw because you're like too low. You can't really cast it. It's kind of like the same with Soul Dealer. And then I run the Vite, the 3/2 ward thing. I was thinking of just running 3 Grimnirs because Grimnir's obviously very good, but the game doesn't really ever go to 10. It happens. I'm not gonna say it never happens, but it's kind of rare. And Vite is kind of like it's like a stronger early game play, because obviously it has that clash ability which gives you a bat, which is it's just like annoying for people to deal with if they don't have removal. And it's basically like the third Grimnir, but I don't really like to run just like three Grimnirs. I like a little bit of variety, so I run like a 2-1 split. I run one Dance of Death because, again, it's like a card that's just kind of nice to have access to. You don't, sometimes you have to deal with stuff like Sybil
Yeah.
or like something big and dumb, and it's just nice. And it's like a bit of reach, right? It's like I was playing around with like either the Demonic Strike, which is like that 4 mana, 3 damage spell to face or creature, and I just think like unconditioned removal is really useful. There's one bit of spice in this deck, and that's a Squall Lancer. Like a lot of the other Vengeance decks don't run this card. They usually run like other stuff. It's like whatever. But I found that this card is like really, really, really good because like it helps deal with like just little dorks, right? Because you just like do 2 damage to one thing, evolve it, do another 2 damage to another thing, and then kill like another small dork. It's just like a lot of
It seems like it's a good way to catch up after your turn 4 play, right?
yeah. It's just really, really useful to have, and frankly, this game is like a really good example of why that card is so good. So this is against a Shadow deck. And Shadow is still like really top tier in this meta, I must say. It's even though they nerfed Catacomb, like they still have like tons and tons of like powerful plays. So here I just mulligan and everything, right? You don't want to keep any of this. You want to dig for a Vengeance Enabler. You just don't care if if you don't have a Belphegor in your opener, you just want to mull everything. Usually, like that's how I feel. It's just so important to have Belphegor. If you don't have Belphegor, it's like this deck is like a take 2 deck if you don't have Belphegor on turn 4. It's like that bad.
Yeah.
It's just like, but now I'm like right now I feel like okay, I see this hand, I'm like I don't think I can lose. It's just I don't. It's like, just yeah. I feel like if Belphegor is just far and away the best card in this deck. It's like this deck would not exist without that card. That card is just I can't get over how good that card is, honestly. So this is probably just mid-range Shadow because he's running Lyrial. And this is probably like right now I think everybody kind of agrees that this is the best deck in the format because it just is. It is like does a lot of powerful stuff. It does tons of. So this is like my dream draw, like because you draw this guy, and it's like the 2-drop, this thing, and then Belphegor, and it's just because it's a 4/4 for 3. Of course, you need it in Vengeance, but it's just like this is exactly how I want my games to go. It's like a random 2-drop, Devil of Vengeance.
You attack right when you play Belphegor?
Yeah. Well, I play Belphegor and he can attack right because
Yeah.
he loses. I get into Vengeance.
That's nice.
But this was pretty annoying. This is a lot of that was kind of tough. When I saw this, I was like, okay, this is kind of scary because now he's just got like incredible amounts of tempo. But I have ways to deal with it, especially with a card like Hungering Horde. Hungering Horde is actually like really, really good against Shadow because it can like clear, because they have a lot of stuff like skeletons and zombies or whatever, so they have a lot of same name stuff, so it's like a really useful card to have against them. So here I want to just clear out all of his non-skeleton stuff because I want to set up for a Hungering Horde next turn. But it is kind of scary because I'm like 10, right? And
yeah.
And he has like a ton of stuff. But yeah, you can see he gets I don't really remember what he does this game. But I think he tries to like push me here because obviously like he looks at his board, he's feeling like super confident, right? So he just pretty aggressively evolves that skeleton and try to just, I mean, not gonna lie, it's like I'm a little bit like shit. That's kind of scary. I hope he doesn't have phantom power or something. But we have ways to deal with this. Yeah. So I just like you have Hungering Horde, so I just gonna like wrath him right now. Diabolic Drain is also very good. Kind of just lets you, and I drew all three of mine, which is kind of lucky, but still, it's like nice. So you just like get out of here.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if you have enough defense in your deck after going to 10.
Because you have this guy, which is really good. Just like a 1/4 ward for 2, which is really good. I want to say. I'm still kind of worried because he's got a ton of shadows, right? Because of just like how his early game went, like, and that's just gonna be like, ugh.
Yeah.
He's gonna like Death's Breaths and Ektars. It's just, I don't even wanna. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. Does he go for an evolve here? I would think he should go for an evolve here. Yeah, he does. It's like I'm not saying I don't think he's playing it entirely incorrectly because it is like that's kind of what you need to do against blood. You just need to constantly be like, I'm gonna try to kill you this turn because the game is at 10 life.
Yeah.
But you do have Diabolic Drain, which is real good. And here I think I just like throw it a general and probably evolve it. Just because no, I don't. Alright, because I have 2 Squall Lancers, and I know like these cards are going to be pretty important, so I don't want to just throw my evolve for no reason. Yes. And this is where Squall Lancer kind of shines, right? When this shit happens.
Yeah, 3 for 1.
I mean, it just helps me control the board, right? Not many cards in.
Really flexible in the
Yeah.
way its damage is spread out, right?
Yeah. Like you can. It's not just like. You can do 4 damage to one thing, or you can do 2 damage separately to 2 other things. It's like, yeah, it's really useful. But I'm like, ugh, this is. I'm still not really happy with where I'm at because I see is like he's gonna have 18 shadow. He's gonna fucking
Yeah, I mean,
he's gonna tyrant me.
what's like your biggest threat? Like you want to play Air Jammer or like Alucard or something?
My biggest threat is definitely Air Jammer. It's just when you're, because everything's overstated, right? Because when you play like Devil of Vengeance and then you play Belphegor, it's just like
Oh man.
I know, right? It's like, wow, this is scary.
Yeah.
Ewan's like, I'm gonna draw more cards too. But Squall Lancer, man, to the rescue.
I guess Squall Lancer is really good against Ektar, huh?
Yeah,
Kind of just works out.
yeah, yeah. It's really good against. This is really just really good against like what Shadow's trying to do, which is like just control board with a bunch of dorky idiots. Yeah,
Getting max value.
I know, right? Just so much
on
value.
those.
But I still don't feel terribly great because he's got a ton of cards in hand, and
And you're not really pressuring him.
I'm not pressuring him. Like I'm just
Now you
I'm
have
playing
evolves.
I'm playing catch up basically the entire game, and I just gotta hope that he doesn't like draw some crazy stuff. But it looks like he just kind of he just drew just
He's also got a lot of small stuff.
just a bunch of dorky stuff, which is good for me. Yeah, he's gonna try to. But it's all is well. I got.
As long as you don't draw Soul Dealer or something.
It doesn't even matter. I have Air Jammer, right? That's gonna be my play for sure. Just because.
Yeah.
And here, I think I just push because I think like I have 7 damage in hand right now. I don't think there's any way he can kill me from this position. He'd have to draw. Like the only thing I'm worried about is if he draws Ektar. Like Ektar, he'll kill me with Ektar, but I just feel like it's actually a lot for him to deal with, and he doesn't get it.
Nice.